Hello everyone. In this video lecture, I will cover the topic asynchronous transfer mode. It is ATM and it is a part of second chapter network communication. So let us talk about ATM. What is ATM? So first of all, ATM is a basically high speed connection oriented switching and multiplication technique. It is basically designed to carry a data like video, audio, and multimedia data. So whenever you have the data like video, audio, or any multimedia data, at that time this ATM provides the best mechanism for the data communication, data exchange. So you should use this ATM service. Now this ATM is basically uses the fixed length packet, and this packet is basically called as a cell. This cell having this structure, this is called the ATM cell. ATM cell is a octal, have the octal bits. This 8 indicates it's a octal values. All the bits having octal values. This it uses the 5 bytes octal header and it uses 48 bytes octal payload. This payload having the data information in this header, having the this header is added by this ATM. It stores the information regarding the data and it includes the information regarding the data transmission and data exchange and about the data. It basically used to achieve a fast speed by avoiding a flow control and error checking mechanism. That's why it generally gives the fast transmission. This ATM classifies based this ATM is classified this ATM traffic is classified in two category. uh, First is CBR category. CBR, the meaning of CBR means constant bit rate, and the VBR category, second is VBR category. The full form of VBR is variable bit rate. This based on this traffic, it divide into two parts. How it divides? It divides based on the type of information. If data having the type video or digital voice, then it works as a CBR. If data have a if you are sending some text based data, at that time it consider as a VBR traffic. All the data having message, the text based traffic. Next is traffic is basically smooth or brusty. Smooth, that means continuously it comes, smoothly it's come, it never become high, it never becomes low. Brusty, that means whenever you are sending a message, if I am telling 4 people to send 5 messages, then your network will become brusty. Or at a single time you have a lots of message, and at another time you have no message in your network. So it is called the brusty traffic of a network. Bandwidth, that means bandwidth you require a low and constant. So whenever whenever CBR constant bitrate traffic is there, you need a low bandwidth but constant bandwidth you need. Just think about the audio and video that you are going to download or going to upload, or whenever you are playing the music online, you need the constant downloading from the server to your computer. At that time it is basically uses the CBR traffic, constant, but you need a low bandwidth. But whenever you want to send the data, you need a large bandwidth, but for the short duration, because you wants to send some number of bytes but very fast. Traffic handling, this CBR traffic is handled by using the mechanism of cell switching, and this VBR is also handles the traffic by using the cell switching mechanism. Now, this ATM is basically uses the virtual circuit mechanism. So whenever the sender sends the data to this receiver, it always make the virtual path, and this virtual path will be dynamic, and this is called a virtual circuit. So this ATM basically uses the virtual circuit path mechanism to send the data. This is a ATM reference model, and these all are the layers of the ATM protocol. And first layer of this ATM protocol is physical layer, second is ATM layer, and third is AAL, ATM adoption layer. It is called the ATM adoption layer. Third is ATM adoption layer. The physical layer having the sub layer, two sub layer is available: physical medium dependent sub layer and transmission coverage sub layer. This physical level divided into two parts. Now this is the function of each layer. What is the functionality provided by that particular layers? First is a physical layer. It manages the transmission and reception of electrical and optical signal between two devices, maps the cell into time division multiplication multiplex difference, which can be sent over the physical medium. Physical medium depends physical medium dependent layer defines the data transmission feed for transmission across the physical links. It is PMD. Transmission coverage layer defines the protocol for encoding and decoding cell data for passing over the physical medium. TC. The uses synchronous digital hierarchy SDS and FDDI standards at this layer, at physical layer. At the ATM layer, it basically handles multiplexing and switching of a cell and maintain the quality of service. Manages cell flow, sequencing, cell payload, type marking, cell payload type marking, differentiation and cell reception and header validation at this layer. The ATM cell and frame formats are explained later in later side. This AAL layer having this facility add up the user traffic into the cell format. On the sender side, data of a various type with a different characteristics is split into 48 byte cells, and consoles and receiving end, the cell are reassembled into the original form of AAL layer. Service class A, B, C, D are defined is based on the timing between the source and destination that you require for transmission, the bit rate of the source, and the connection mode. This all the standards that is used by this AAL layer, class A, class B, class C, and class D are defined on the basis of this timing, bitrate, and connection mode. Class A required timing, A and B both require timing, and C and D not require timing. Bitrate require class A and B class A require constant bitrate, class B, C and D require variable bitrate. Class A require connection, class A, B and C require connection oriented mechanism, and class D require connection less mechanism. This is the service class of the ATM adoption layer, which is already defined as an overview inside this ATM layer function. Now ATM standards. ATM uses the standard A and standard B mechanism, and whenever it making the frames, it uses this kind of header, and this it uses the ATM standard layers. Standard A is called as a user network interface standard that contains the generic flow control field and virtual field identifier as a one octal field. See here, this is the user network interface standard A. It has this field VPI and GFC, while in standard 2 there is no field GFC and VPI. So it is described over here. Standard B having the field net, and it is basically used for the network interface, has 1.5 octal long VPI but does not contain GFC field. See here, this is VPI and this VPI. 1 octal and half octal. That means this 8 plus this 4 bit used for the VPI. This VPI, the meaning of VPI is virtual path identifier. So this is the header information. This standard A used when it is a user and network interface. That means from computer to network device interface is used. At that time standard A is used when router to router bridge to router, some data exchange is used, data is going to exchange. At that time the standard B is used. That's why the name is network interface. So here this is the field, octal field, which and this is the UNI interface standard. It has GFC bit of 4-bit GFC field. VPI, that is virtual path identifier, virtual channel identifier, VCI, it is common in both the standard. All other things are common in all the standard. HEC, header error control bit, total 8 bit for error header control. CLP, it is cell loss priority bit. It is 1 bit cell loss priority that indicates whether cell will be lost, then it is important for that particular data or not, that indicated by CLP. This PT, that means payload type, which type of payload is available in data. This VCI total 8 plus 4, that means 12 bit information for the virtual channel identifier. And this is the basic function of the ATM layers headers bits. This 4-bit GFC, this generic flow, this 4-bit generic flow control is basically used to control the amount of traffic entering the network. All 0 indicates uncontrolled cell, so gets last precedence. VPI and VCI, this is what virtual path identifier and virtual channel identifier. This VPI contains 8-bit and VCI contains 16-bit field in header. It determines the path and channel for the cell to traverse. From which path, from which cell it should traverse. This information is stored inside this VPI and VCI. PTI, that means PTI means the payload type. This payload type indicates used 3 bits, and basically it is used to distinguish between data controls, whether this the payload is for the data or control cell bits, because sometimes you may have to send information between the nodes. So whether it is a control cell or data cell, actual data cell, which can be transmitted over different channels. CLP is 1-bit header information. When it's set, it indicates that the cell can be discarded during the congestion period. When network is full of with package and there is a network congestion, you can set this bit to 1. If it is set as a 1, then you cannot discard this bit. But if it's set as 0, you can discard the bit. Its network is full of with the very heavy loaded packets. This header error control bit, 8-bit header occupied, header error control bit, 8-bit is occupied by this HCC information in header. It contains the checksum of headers to protect from transmission errors. It actually handles the transmission errors. This thing I have already told you. This AAL layer is classified into 4 categories, A, B, C. It is based on timing, bitrate and connection mode that you require for your network data communication. This AL layer function, this ATM adaptation layer having the 2 sublayer, congestion sublayer and segmentation reassemble sublayer. This convergence sublayer performs the functionality of convergence, and segmentation sublayer and reassemble sublayer basically does the reassembling task and segmentation task. That means you send dividing your full data into segment, and whenever you are going to receive that data, it again collect all the data and make the original data. That is called the reassembling of data. This ATM layer basically performs the functions like generic flow control, cell header generation and extraction, generation as well as extraction, cell VPI and VCI translation, cell multiplexing, demultiplexing. This physical layer having again two sublayer, transmission conversion sublayer and physical medium sublayer. This transmission conversion sublayer performs the functions like cell rate, decoupling, HBC, header generation and check, this header control bits generation, cell delineation, bit timing and physical medium uh, functions are done by the physical medium sublayer, bit timing and physical medium control. So this is all about ATM. I'm going to end this session. Thank you all of you.